Have you ever felt completely lost? A moment when everything around you seems to be crumbling, and the despair is so thick you can almost touch it? All of us, at some point in our lives, walk through these shadows. Today, we will explore how these abysses of despair are not just a test, but a path, a journey towards something greater, faith. But not just any faith, a faith that deeply roots itself in our souls when everything else seems to fail. Consider Jesus Christ, in his darkest moment, on the cross, where he faced ultimate despair, not just physical but spiritual and emotional as well. What can we learn from his experience about faith in the face of the unfathomable? Despair, though devastating, can be the fertile ground where the truest and most resilient faith takes root. In the next few minutes, we will dive into the depths of this darkness to find the light that only faith can ignite. Imagine yourself in the midst of a storm, where each lightning bolt is a problem and each thunder is a fear that resonates in your soul. In these moments, faith does not serve as a shield to block the reality of despair, but as a compass that guides us through it. But how can we find this faith when everything around us seems chaotic? Faith is an acknowledgement that, despite the darkness surrounding us, there is a light that never goes out, a hope that does not depend on external circumstances, but on an internal truth that sustains and guides. Jesus Christ, facing the cross, did not rely on visible certainties but on an invisible trust in the certainty of divine love. In his most solitary moments, Jesus showed that even the deepest despair can be faced with a faith that transcends human understanding. He did not turn away from suffering, but faced it with a faith that was both vulnerable and powerful. In this way, faith teaches us to navigate through despair not by denying pain, but by committing to go through it, each step strengthened by a trust greater than any adversity. This is the true essence of faith, a persistent connection with the divine that sustains us when everything else seems to fail. On our journey through the valley of despair, it is common to encounter a silent and persistent enemy, doubt. It subtly arises, questioning our faith, our hope, and even the love that surrounds us. How do we deal with this tension between doubt and faith, especially when we are surrounded by shadows? The truth is that doubt does not have to be our enemy. In fact, it can be a catalyst that propels us toward a deeper and more enlightened faith. Jesus Christ, in his moment of intense agony in the Garden of Gethsemane, faced this same doubt. He questioned, felt fear and anguish, but did not allow these feelings to divert him from his path. In that garden, facing the imminent cross, Jesus showed that it is possible to be flooded with doubt and still choose faith. He chose to trust, to move forward with the divine plan, even with a heart heavy with uncertainty. This is the conflict each of us faces, to let doubt paralyze us or to use it as a ladder to reach a more authentic and resilient faith. Doubt challenges us, tests us, and ultimately strengthens us, for it is through doubt that our faith is purified, and our resilience is forged. So, when doubt knocks at your door in the midst of despair, recognize it as part of the journey. Face it, question it, and let it teach you to trust more firmly, to believe more deeply. For it is at the intersection of doubt and faith that we find the true strength to keep going. There are moments in our journey of faith when the sky seems to close. When prayers seem to echo in an immense void, and we receive no answer at all. This silence from God can be one of the hardest tests for our faith. But what does this silence truly mean? Silence is not a sign of abandonment but a sacred pause, an opportunity for growth and deep introspection. Jesus Christ, in his final moments on the cross, experienced this silence in a way that few could endure. "Why have you forsaken me?" he cried, expressing the anguish of feeling left behind. Yet, even in that silence, there was a presence, a preparation for something transformative. The silence of God can be challenging, but it is also in this silence that our faith is tested and our true strength revealed. Imagine, then, this silence not as an absence, but as an invisible presence that shapes us, refines us, and prepares us for the light to come. It is in silence that we learn to listen not just with our ears, but with our hearts, to perceive not just with sight, but with our souls. So, when you feel surrounded by silence in your moment of despair, remember that even the darkest night is followed by dawn. And that this silence, no matter how difficult, is preparing you to receive great revelations. On our spiritual journey, we often face the need for sacrifice, not just physical sacrifice, but also emotional and spiritual. These moments of renunciation are crucial for our transformation through faith. But how does sacrifice connect with our journey of faith in times of despair? The most powerful example of sacrifice comes from Jesus Christ, who gave his own life on the cross. This act was not just a sacrifice of supreme love but also a path to transformation, not only for him but for all of humanity. Our personal sacrifices, though not as grand, carry a similar weight in our spiritual journey. They challenge us to renounce immediate desires, to forego temporary comforts, in favor of something greater and more lasting. And this is where faith comes in, as a force that pushes us beyond our limits, that helps us see beyond the immediate horizon. When we surrender our fears, our doubts, and our control, we are making an essential sacrifice. This act of surrender is not a defeat but a declaration of faith, a faith that says there is something beyond this moment of pain, a promise of renewal and hope. Therefore, as you face your own moments of despair, remember the power of sacrifice. Consider how your own renunciations may not only change your life but also touch the lives of others. Like Jesus, every sacrifice we make is a step toward transformation, a testimony of our faith that shapes and redefines us. Throughout history, countless are the stories of individuals who, in the face of the deepest despair, found strength and faith to overcome and transform their lives. These testimonies are not just accounts, they are beacons of hope that illuminate our own dark paths. Consider, for example, the story of a woman who faced a severe and debilitating illness. At the height of her despair, she found in faith a strength she didn't even know she possessed. Her journey was not easy, but her renewed trust brought not only physical healing but also a profound spiritual and emotional transformation. There is also the story of a man who lost everything, his job, his home, his certainties. At his lowest point, he turned to faith, not as a last-ditch effort for salvation, but as a new foundation to rebuild his life. And, against all odds, he emerged not only recovered but renewed. These stories share a common theme: the resurrection of hope, the renewal of life, and the victory over despair. Each testimony is a reflection of Christ's resurrection, symbolizing the ultimate overcoming of all despair through faith. So, when you feel that despair is trying to dominate your story, remember these testimonies. Let them inspire you to keep your faith, to seek your own resurrection, your own triumph. For it is through faith that we find the courage to transform not only our lives but also the world around us. We have reached the end of our journey today, but the journey of faith is continuous, a path that never truly ends. In every step, every challenge, every moment of despair, faith offers us a solid foundation upon which we can lean. Jesus Christ is the supreme example of this unshakable faith. In the midst of the deepest suffering and despair, he remained steadfast, confident in the promise of a greater purpose, of a redemption that would transcend his own sacrifice. Looking at the life and ministry of Jesus, we see that faith is not a solitary or easy journey. It is a path paved with tests and trials, but also with victories and transformations. It is an invitation for each of us, no matter how dark the moment may seem, to seek a deeper connection, a greater purpose. And so, as you continue your own journey, remember that faith is more than just believing. It is living, breathing, walking through the storms with your head held high and your heart open, knowing that, no matter how long the night, the light always returns at dawn. May your faith be the light that guides you through despair. May it be the strength that keeps you standing when everything else fails. And above all, may it inspire you to turn every challenge into an opportunity to grow, to love, and to serve.